Okie dokie. So I want you to start by, let's clear our calculators. So turn it on. Remember, it's on the board over there in orange, but it's second plus 7, right, 1, 2. Okay. All right. And we are on the back of the part 1. There's not officially a piece of paper for part 2, so we're right here. So we're going to start by looking at determinants. All right. And if you recall, when we did the determinants, if you had a 2 by 2, well, actually, or a 3 by 3, it doesn't matter what the rules are, but you multiply the down, and it's down minus up. You might have to add them together if you have more than a 2 by 2. Well, actually, I do have an example of what would that look like here. This is something else also, but determinant, remember, down minus up. So when we were solving systems, we had to find all these determinants. But we're just going to let the calculator do the 2 by 2 was not that big of a deal, but the 3 by 3, you had to add columns and then you had to do a whole bunch of stuff, right? So we're going to do, instead of me writing new ones up here and you having to write them down, we're going to use C and D down here. So let's just go ahead and start by, in the calculator, we're going to go put in C and D. So remember that second, x to the negative first, you got to arrow over to edit, pick C, and then C is a 2 by 2. So go ahead and get both of those put in. Should be able to do that at this point. Okay. Nope. I do that every time. And then when you're on your home screen, like I accidentally put the name because I do that all the time. I didn't arrow over to math. If you need to clear that off, you just hit the clear key, which is right there. Okay. So we'll wait till everybody gets theirs all typed in there. You good? Okay. Then let's write down the steps. There we go. Here are the steps, and we'll just put them with commas instead of all the fancy screenshots and stuff. You would do, once again, second, and then x to the negative 1. That's how we get to the matrices, okay? And then you have to, this time you arrow over to math, and you choose 1 determinant, and then enter. Okay. Then we do second, x to the negative 1 again to get back into the matrices, and then you choose the name that you want. That'll make sense once we get it, but I want you to have it written down also, so that you, if you need to go back and look at what to do, it's there. Okay. So we entered 2 matrices, C and D. So the notation for determinant is either the DET like this, or I could say determinant of C. Looks like absolute value, but it's not. And then we're also going to find the determinant of D. Okay. Got all that written down. All right, so here we go. Second matrix, arrow over to math, choose 1 for determinant, and then second matrix, and you choose, we'll do C first, so I'll choose 3, and then we have to hit enter, and the determinant is -1. Okay. So go ahead and do the same thing for D. Second matrix, arrow over to math, choose determinant, second matrix, choose the name, and that answer is 1. Okay. Determinants can be anything. This looks like they can only be 1 or -1, but we had some crazy big numbers, some other weird numbers. You could even get 0. But I didn't want to have to use other matrices, so I just used those. Okay. Easy enough to find the determinant? We good? Okay. All right, so then the next thing we're going to do is solve systems. So we've done systems of equations with substitution, elimination, graphing, and even with matrices with Cramer's rule. There's different ways than just Cramer's rule, but that's the only one we're going to do right now. And then we're also going to do it with inverses, but on the calculator. So back to what we actually started with. So these were our notes from solving systems with Cramer's rule. So I want to remind you of a couple of things with vocabulary here. Here's my system of equations, 2 equations, 2 variables, right? From that, I get a coefficient matrix. That means I'm just taking the numbers in front of the x and the y. So my coefficient matrix, I named here A. Then we have a variable matrix, xy, that's named with a capital X. Even though there's xy, or if there's 3, it's x, y, and z. It's a capital X that represents that whole matrix. And then the constant matrix from that 9 and -30, we named B. Okay. And up here, if we actually wrote them out, here is our coefficient matrix times our variable matrix gives us our constant matrix. That's how you build that, basically. So if you look at it, and remember, if we did 1 times negative or 1 -5 times xy, that's where we get this from. That's how it all kind of goes together. So in this little equation here, this is A times X equals B. That's this right here. So algebraically, if I want to get X by itself, I would divide by A, right? But you can't divide by a matrix. You have to multiply by its inverse. So instead of dividing both sides by A, I'm multiplying by A inverse. So to get my solution, all we do is the inverse of the coefficient matrix times the constant matrix. It's just A inverse times B every time. Okay, so I know all that might sound a little weird, but once we do it once, probably just once, you're good. We'll do it twice because we'll do 2 and 3. But let me give you a system and show you how we're going to do this. All right, so here's your first system. It's 2x plus 6y equals 38. And 5x plus y equals -3. Okay. So there's our system. It's set up nicely for elimination. So again, you could do substitution, elimination, whatever, but we're here today to look at matrices. So my matrix A, that's my coefficient matrix, comes from the numbers in front of the variables. So my first row is 2, 6. My second row is 5, 1. Okay. Then B is my constant matrix, which is 38, -3. Okay. So let's go ahead and put that into A and B in our calculators. Okay, so do second matrix, edit A. That is a 2 by 2. And then I'm going to do edit B, and that's a 2 by 1. Um, 38 and negative 3. All right. So I have them both in there. On my home screen, I'm just going to hit clear so that it goes away. And what I want to do here, my x is going to be equal to A inverse times B. So that's what I want to make happen over here. So if I want matrix A to pop up here, I just do second matrix, choose A. But I want the inverse of A. So this x to the negative 1 key, we keep hitting second before it. If I don't hit second, it makes it inverse. And then second matrix B. So now I have pretty much exactly what I wrote. You hit enter. There's your solution. So it's going to give it to you in a vertical matrix like this, negative 2, 7. And so that means that your ordered pair is negative 2, 7. It's x and then y. Okay. Questions about that? Well, good. And then I want to show you that this is this question that we did here with Kramer's rule. We got negative 2, 7. That's the same system I just gave you, but we had to find this determinant and then do it here again and divide stuff and do all kinds of weird things. Okay, but again, that's by hand. This is the calculator doing it for us, but either way. Okay. Any questions at this point? All right, I'm gonna give you another system. This time a 3 by 3. So negative x plus 7y minus 2z equals negative 14. 2x plus y plus 9z equals 43. 3x minus 5y plus 2z equals 2. Okay. So this time we have a 3 by 3, 3 variables, 3 equations, and we didn't do this with Kramer's rule, but y'all remember doing this by hand? And you had to solve for one and substitute and do all that stuff, and that takes a hot minute if you're doing it by hand for sure. So let's get our A matrix. Negative 1, 7, negative 2, 2, 1, 9, 3, negative 5, 2. Everybody okay with where everything is coming from? I'll take that as a yes. And then B, be negative 14, 43, and 2. So when we get our answers, we'll have 3 answers, and that'll be X, Y, and Z. So then go ahead, and what I would do before I put those in, if I were you, is I would clear my calculator. Okay, so second plus 7, right, 1, 2. Just to clear out all those matrices. I didn't do it the last time because we didn't have anything in A and B, but then let's edit A. And this is 3 by 3. And while we're typing in, let me remind you that the directions in Delta Math for this assignment may tell, like I'm pretty sure on some of the systems it tells you to do it by elimination, or it tells you ignore that. I just couldn't get purely calculator problems for this. And if I gave them to you from the matrix assignment, and it made you type in other things. So just the purpose of the assignment today is for you to do what we are doing. So their examples will look different, but they're questions where you could, should be able to get an answer and know if you're doing it right or not. Okay, so this is a 3 by 1. So that's negative 14, 43. Oh, no. Oh, negative 14, 40. Nope. Yeah. 43 and 2. Okay, goodness. What's wrong with this board? Ugh. Okay. So then once again, I find matrix A, but I want the inverse. And then I'm going to multiply that by matrix B. And there's my answer. Okay. Any questions about where any of the numbers are coming from or the buttons, anything like that? Y'all getting a little bit more comfortable with these calculators? Starting to make a little bit more sense, maybe. Okay. Any questions at all? You good? Okay. So do you follow the exact directions in Delta Math? No, you do what we just did, right? That's just the whole point. It should go quickly.